We good?
Yeah, we good.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Check.
Yeah.
Mic check. Mic check.
Yeah. Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah,
Mic
yeah,
check.
yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
We good. We
Yes,
good.
you are.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 11 of the Lucrative Vision podcast. I am your host, John Njoga, and I'm joined by Rudy Aguilar, Collins Mugodo, Joshua Hunter. Am I missing anybody?
Walter.
Walter.
What's good?
I said Walter again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I can't miss nobody. All right. Yeah. I thought I missed somebody. Because when I was looking at the chat at first glance, I saw hella heads. I was like, whoa.
I mean, no excuses. It's actually on the side now. You can just read them out. Jay Hanna.
Yo, Discord is like really, I can't believe I was sleeping on this app. Like,
it's brilliant. It's really good.
Underrated. Not underrated.
Completely. It's next level.
So for today's first topic, I was talking with Walter yesterday about the evolution of technology, right? I went to go see one of my good friends, one of my former roommates from Mooresville, Leroy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's actually like a clothes designer, Carms Craft. So I'll probably ask him to send me his link, so I put it in the chat. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying, he's really up and coming, fashion designer, bro. Yeah, his joints are fire. So yeah, you were just showing me about Elon Musk and the SpaceX. Like, he's trying to make starships that can go from the moon to Mars, right? These huge rockets, and we were just seeing like how he's building it, how rapid at a rate he's producing these, these products.
Yeah.
Everything to make the ship. Like I think he has like 8 prototypes out. Within the last like 2 years, he has like 8 prototypes, and each one he keeps learning from the next. And he was just showing me multiple videos of people just analyzing, dissecting how he's doing it. And it's incredible.
I mean,
and I'm just thinking about
Elon Musk
is technical innovations, because we grew up in the sweet spot, to be honest, right? We were born in the 90s, so we kind of, we're able to taste the right 5 years in the middle, right? The 5 years going from, 95 to all the way to 2000. Then the boom of the technology, right? Going from floppy disks now to USBs, now to the cloud. Like, how we were able to just watch technology grow year after year after year, and the evolution of it is amazing. And we're not done yet.
Yeah, I mean, we're never done. I think things actually have sped up big time, right? Like if you think about like how long it took for us to transition from the agricultural revolution to the industrial revolution, that was a long time, right? And then like it's less than 100 years between the industrial revolution and whatever this is, the technological revolution or something. What would this be called?
I don't even know.
It's kind of hard to actually create a name. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's technological. But like, it's such a short space of time, and then now from this thing to the next thing is going to be even shorter. Like we could see so much evolution just within our lifetime. So many things could change just within our lifetime.
Half human, half robot. Could happen.
I mean, I guess artificial intelligence and robots is the next thing, right?
100%.
They're starting it. They already put in the phones and stuff like that. But like,
they're putting companies are putting chips on different employees just to like swipe through like an ID thing. Okay.
Yeah, they have like they're putting chips in humans and like Sweden and stuff like that. But I'm not with that bullshit. You ain't putting no chip in me. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, I mean, so you wouldn't get like a Neuralink or whatever it is. Like
You
if
would
it
trust
came,
that?
huh?
You would trust that?
I mean, you would have. I mean, it's the alternative would be just using your own mind and trying to keep up with artificial technology that way, right?
Yeah.
And if it's like, I just think it one of these days it will be absolutely necessary to have one of those, like some brain chip, just to keep up with everything going on. You know the way like right now, like a phone is a must. Having a phone is a must.
Yeah.
I think eventually people will they'll just be cyborgs, right? They'll just have chips in them and be doing their thing that way. You don't think so?
No, I see. So that's happening. People want to do that, but the problem with that is like what you call it. What if you like the chip you have gets a virus or like how hackable are these things? Right, those are things we have to think about, especially if you're combining this technology with the human brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not
I
an
mean,
easy thing. It's not something you just be excited to jump into.
mm-hmm.
Well, so
I
what's the
mean
difference
that's
between
true. I mean,
illnesses and
you
like
could also
cancers
see
and
it.
all that?
You could also see it. You could also see it the other way, where like eventually there's going to be a time where like medical science has advanced so much, especially with things like 3D printing, where they're printing hearts and things like that. So you might think that like some bit of technology being inside of your brain is like could be detrimental to your health, but you could also be living uh, like uh, till 200 years old, right? It might be possible to live until 200 years old.
I mean, yeah, but so like these artificial hearts, those are a little bit different than like what you call it, having a chip inside of your brain, right? That thinks and does stuff for you. Because at that point, where's the difference between you being human and or being a computer chip?
And being a what?
A computer.
Well, I don't know. I like. Should we? Why do we? Why is it necessary to prefer being human, like inside a meat body?
Why? Because that's what we are. What do you mean? Like,
But things evolve, people evolve. We already are like technology is so integrated within us. So like I just think it's eventually we're just gonna merge with technology, whether we like it or not. We fear it
yeah, so
like we fear it like we always fear new technology, but eventually it's just gonna happen and there's nothing we can do about it.
yeah, so
And
it's
this
one thing for what you call it, for technology to excel, but it's another thing for like the actual natural evolution of things to excel, right? Those excel slowly. That should happen naturally, not like that should happen naturally. We didn't evolution of humans didn't happen because of us. It's just natural selection and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree and disagree. I think we do have a part to play in our own in evolution. I just don't see how a species can change so much unless each individual member of that species changes. You know what I mean? So like, okay, I'll give you an example, right? Of you guys, Joe Rogan talks about this a lot, like the stoned ape theory.
Mm-hmm.
The stoned ape theory. Have you guys ever heard of that one?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah, when like we discovered psychedelic drugs, right? Mushrooms, right? And they're the reason why human beings advanced so much in such little time, right? But
That's
like
why we talk
those
and all that
substances,
shit.
huh?
That's why we talk and we're able to create languages and all that. That's what I guess what the
Yeah.
theory is.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Like the reason why you're not just another ape is because of the diet of your ancestors, which included psychedelics, right? And so there's no doubt that psychedelics could be hugely damaging, right? But they were 100% necessary towards us evolving into this species that we are now. So I think the modern day version of a psychedelic will be some sort of technology in your brain.
Yeah, but that's like was still natural on the earth, right? They got to experiment with that to see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah,
Like
but
if you're talking about humans, Like at some point in time, the choice won't be there if you're saying this is gonna have to be mandatory.
Well, I don't not necessarily mandatory, but it would be a disadvantage if you didn't have it, right? Like everybody else would be better off for having this bit of technology than you would be for not having it, if that makes any sense. And like also, I think there's a bias towards things being natural, right? Just because something's natural doesn't necessarily mean it's good or the best alternative. Sometimes artificial is just better. And eventually we're going to have some artificial intelligence within us.
I don't necessarily think so. Like, I don't know why we would need to have it. We're already living with this stuff. We're building robots. What's the point of putting it inside of us?
Well, because we're building systems that are a lot smarter than us, and they're smarter than we would ever be, right? We're like, if technology continues to advance, eventually the artificial intelligence will be a lot far superior to ours, right? And so once that happens, the new battle we're going to be fighting is how to keep up with it. And we can't keep up with it with the brains that we currently have, right? So we would need some sort of an upgrade.
I mean, I guess so, but it has to be done like extremely carefully, right? And then even if when this happens, right, access to this, like there's going to be different levels. Like, if you're poor, can you access it? If you're in a country that doesn't have that much money, can you access this? Like, how is it going to be implemented, like throughout each country, throughout the different economic ranks of people?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it probably, if it arises, it might have the effect of creating great wealth inequality, right? Greater than it is right now, right?
Yeah.
But I think eventually that stuff over time would level out, in the same way that, like, once upon a time sugar was something that only rich people ever had, right? And now sugar is commoditized. Everybody has it now, right? And I think that same thing is going to happen with artificial intelligence, but it's just going to take time.
So the people who have to wait that are disadvantaged. The people who have to wait are at a disadvantage.
They are.
But that's not a small amount of people. That's an enormous amount of people, right?
It's a huge amount of people.
And then even the testing for this, they're not going to use the rich people to test to see what goes wrong or what goes right. They're going to use poor people who are susceptible to that for those like experiments.
Well, also let me put it this way, right? I hear Justin Bieber has real estate on Mars. Right? Rich people are curious. They want to like have the first bit of technology. Right? The first person to ever own a watch was the Queen of England or something. Right? So I just think the rich people are just curious enough to want to test it out for themselves and be the first.
I mean, there's a difference between something like that and actually implementing a whole nother computer system in your brain. Because if it goes wrong in your brain, that could mean like a death, right? That's like the worst case scenario and the most likely scenario.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. Obviously, it has to be safe, right? Every bit of technology that you expect the masses to have has to pass certain regulatory, So like if it doesn't pass that, then obviously the public would not even be allowed to own it. Right?
Yeah, but now that's who are they going to test to see if it passes or not? That's the question, right? How do you choose who makes that risk?
Yeah, I guess. But okay, they run clinical trials though.
100%. It's not like the most rich people in those clinical trials all the time, right? So like, for example, they had this thing called like the Tuskegee experiments, where they were injecting people with syphilis to test the effects of syphilis, but telling them it was like infect them with like insulin or the flu and stuff like that, right? And misleading people. This happened for like a long time, right? And they used poor black people to do this. It ended like in the 70s or something like that. So like things like that, like is like you have to be really careful about. And also, technology breaks down over time, right? No matter how advanced it is, it's always going to break down over time. What is that time period? how do you like? So like a lot of like the trade off is when you're trying to figure this out is a lot of people are going to be affected and a lot of death could happen. That's why like I don't think that should be like a good deal we should like touch until we fully understand it, because I don't think we fully understand artificial intelligence right now.
Well, I hear that, but people are driving cars, right? And there's plenty of accidents that happen on the road every single year, right? But we have access. Huh?
That's mostly due to human error, not the car.
100%, right? Mostly due to human error. Similarly, like if you get a microchip installed in your brain, something could go wrong, right? But it's kind of one of those things where you have to balance out the risks and the rewards. If we're in a world where you simply cannot survive without a piece of technology in your brain, you can't survive. Like it will pass you by, right? You just get that thing in the, you know what I'm saying? So like, it will be something that, I mean, at least the way, like, if it's popular enough that everybody wants it, then it has to work, I think.
Yeah, but again, even though this technology is made by man, right? So we don't know, you don't understand the artificial intelligence. You don't know what's going in it. It could be programmed for something you don't want, right? Like it's not something you just because it's a new thing and new innovators. You should always not want like innovation, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where
so
you
like,
weigh out. That's where you weigh out the statistics. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, they're all gonna have to be the first people who try something like this out. I don't think they do human testing. I don't even know if maybe they do, but I don't think there's a regulated. I don't think that's regulated.
So they wouldn't start out with human testing. They would try with like a monkeys or something like that. But eventually, you would have to get to human test trials.
Yeah, but it's not just like it's people who sign up for those. You can't just get into a quick clip.
100%, but do they always know what they're signing up for?
I mean, that's an individual choice at the end of the day. If you want
it's not an individual choice though. Like they could give you all the information and withhold some information.
I disagree because like they usually like when you go to these clinical trials, they do make you sign waivers, right? And before you sign the waivers, you have to read them, right? Yeah, and obviously, if they do something that isn't in the waiver and it causes you harm, you have grounds to sue them.
That's when you stay alive.
That's
when you stay alive. It's not like putting something in your arm; it's your brain. Like that's the paradox of everything. That's
well, your family has the grounds to sue them. So, like for me, clinical trials, you sign up for them. So, like, I don't see a problem with those. I might do a clinical trial myself. Who knows?
I mean, I guess so, but it's not something like I don't know. Like, I don't think the technology is 100% there yet for us to start thinking about putting on our brains. Like, not 100% there. Like, in our everyday lives and everything we use.
We don't know. We don't know how far along the technology actually is. It might already be here.
All I'm gonna say is that they're definitely testing.
Yeah.
People. Oh, 2 seconds. Like like they're definitely testing it somewhere in the world. Like they're trying to like control. I would say like not like mind control or whatever. Just something that they can have on everybody.
I mean, look, Elon Musk has that company called Neuralink where they're developing this precise technology. This exact thing that we're talking about right now is already being worked on. Fact, by Elon Musk.
Yeah, I heard of it.
So, if it gets to a point where they've troubleshooted it and it's ready for public consumption, I'm not going to be first in line. I'm going to wait. You know what I'm saying? Like, even I would wait for the PlayStation 5 if I was ever going to get them, because I don't like overpaying for things, right? So like, I just think like by the time I use a piece of technology like that, I will have a good idea of how safe it is. because I would have seen it for a while.
Yeah, but so you'd also need like some sort of like medical reason, not just like because artificial intelligence is catching up. Like that should be like medical reasons for us to do this, right? Because we don't know how it's gonna work without the rest of our bodies with the brain. Like that's like a clear thing we have to think about.
I mean, there might be a medical reason, but you might. I don't know. Like, I just feel like
the brain is a very sensitive, part of our body, probably the most sensitive part, which is why it's the most protected part.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't just go and get brain surgery for no reason. That's to be something seriously wrong for you to get brain surgery, and the risks are enormous. So to get this just because you want to catch up to AI, I don't know if that's like necessarily the right thing.
I mean, I think you're trivializing catching up to AI. Sometimes it's going to be necessary to catch up to AI. So you die or you die. You either don't catch up to AI, right? And you die and you risk dying, or you do catch up to AI and you risk dying. So, like, I'm just saying that there is a scenario where the risk would end up being absolutely worth it. In the same way that people take their chances every single day when they get in behind the wheel of a car. In that very same way.
But most people have a choice.
Huh? Everyone has a choice. Everyone has a choice. You know, at the end of the day, you don't need any technology, but yet you have it.
Yeah.
Because it's necessary in the world that you live in.
Right, but what I mean by choice is like the people who are going to be getting the chips in the head, they don't know how that chip is programmed or what's programmed in it, right? Like that's the main thing. And is there always going to be that transparency, right? These are questions we have to ask. We can't just say we should do this or because of innovation, right? Not all innovation is good.
Yeah.
Right. The atomic bomb was an innovation, right? That's not a good thing. Right now, like the world is very tense because we have these weapons.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But these are risks. These are risks. It's a risk reward thing, type of thing. So it may work, it may not, but you take the chance, don't you? You take the chance because you perceive it as necessary.
I guess so, but like, is Elon Musk going to be the first person to put this in his brain?
I don't know. Somebody is. It's not going to be me, though. It's not going to be me. But you know, this crazy look. The 7 billion of us in this world. I'm willing to bet that at least, and this is me being generous, a third of us are crazy. And they would be willing to do a clinical trial with something that you put inside of your brain.
Yeah.
100%. 100%, because people are just that curious. And if they want to take that chance, they can. And that's cool. And I'll be watching. I'll be listening. I'll be following.
Yeah, I don't know. I just for me, just at what point, like, are you a computer versus a human at that point, right? When you have something in your brain.
I don't necessarily even see being a computer as necessarily a bad thing. You know?
I mean, I do because like the life expectancy of a computer, like the average laptop you're going to use is probably like what, 10 years, right? Like these things break down. What happens when that chip breaks down? Do you just go get a new chip?
I think you're a prisoner of the moment. I think honestly, technology can advance to the point where, for having technology within you, you actually live longer.
Yeah. So that could be because I think that's like the point of having that chip in your brain. But at what point does that come? I don't think it's going to come at the first iteration of that.
Maybe not. Right? I don't know. That's a question for somebody else. I'm obviously not responsible for designing these things, but at the same time, I just think the way we're headed, it's going to be absolutely necessary.
So it may be necessary, but we have to be extremely skeptical before we get to that step, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the point I'm trying to make. There has to be extreme skepticism on this. Because there's security reasons. There's a bunch of whole other reasons why this is not necessarily the greatest idea. Like, we're the ones that created AI in the first place anyway. So if it passes us, that's the human race's fault.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about, like, for example, so AI is obviously a very lofty topic, and there's a lot of ifs, right? Let's talk about a vaccine for the coronavirus, for example, right? So obviously, if something like that is available, right, and it works, a lot of people would get it, right? I mean, there's going to be some people that don't get it, and they would express the very same objections that you express. Like, how do you know how safe it is? Have we done enough tests? Have we done? But if it's available and it works, and we prove it over a period of time, everybody is going to have to take it.
Yeah, so I think
what
the difference with that is, one, why people are skeptical for that one is just they're kind of rushing the vaccine. Then also there's a sentiment of people who are against vaccines just in general. But overall, we've seen vaccines work, right? There's a history of vaccines working, like diseases being eradicated because we have vaccines, or us being able to treat because we have vaccines. So that one right there, I don't think is an apples to apples like comparison. I think that's two different things because we know vaccines work.
Yeah. Do we not know that artificial intelligence works?
We know it works, but we don't know if it works connected to our bodies.
I mean, well, we have artificial, like, there's people who get artificial limbs, and that's connected to the neurocircuitry in your brain, right? And you can open and close your hands. Like, if you're like you've lost an arm or whatever, and they attach one of these things to your nerves, they're essentially connecting something to your brain.
They put a chip in your head when they do that? Do they actually put a chip in your head when they do that? Like, how does that work? I mean, I know like that. I know what you're talking about, but how does it actually work?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Somebody will look it up, not me though. But I know that like somehow they're able to connect to the part of you that allows you to move your fingers in order to move this piece of technology.
Yeah.
You know, so we're already there. It's not even like something that's necessarily in the future. But that technology is going to continue to evolve and grow, and eventually it's going to get to.
What would you want from like a chip in our brains? Like, what would you like want it prove for us?
So imagine human beings. We had, so obviously we have values and ethics and morals, and one of the things that artificial like intelligence doesn't necessarily have is values, and if they create some, they won't be necessarily the same as ours, right? And if something doesn't, like, imagine an intelligent sociopath, right? Somebody who's smarter than you and completely crazy and would have no hesitation to kill you, right? That's essentially something that what we would be creating by creating artificial intelligence. So I think the only way to align our values and the values of the systems that we create is by merging with them.
But now if we merge with them, do we take over or do they take over?
Well, the best chance for
that we didn't see, every movie we didn't see that they had tried this, it goes back. One person, the AI or whatever, just takes over. They don't become human. It's like becomes a problem.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing, right? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of ifs, and obviously these are movies, right? They're made in Hollywood, so their scenarios are hypothetical ones anyway. But I don't know. I just think things are going to get to the place where you wouldn't necessarily even, you might have a choice, but you wouldn't have a real one, really, whether or not
that was my point. But to answer like Josh's question, like, so one of the things Elon Musk wants to do with this Neuralink is to, like, I guess, treat or like prevent diseases like dementia and like Alzheimer's, like, so that's like one of the reasons why you might want to have this in it. But overall, I'm on the belief that, like, we don't necessarily need this.
No, I mean, yeah, we've proven that we don't need this because we've been on this earth for however long we've been on it, right? But at the same time, the earth always changes and we're not necessarily permanent, and we are going to evolve into something.
Yeah.
Right? Or we're going to die, right? And I just think the most likely thing that we're going to evolve into is technology. So maybe to answer that previous question that you have is, do we take over or do they take over? Maybe they take over. And maybe that's all right. The world will still keep spinning.
I mean, I guess so, but that goes back to the point. Now we ain't human, we robots. But if that's what you're saying, that's okay. Then I mean, that might be the end of the discussion. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, if you comfortable with that, sure. But me, I don't know. I haven't been a robot, but I've been human, and I like it this way.
I'm not volunteering to become, a robot. You feel me? Like, I'm not gonna have a chip in my brain. Oh, don't do this or don't do that. Feel this.
I mean, but what if the chip in your brain? What if the chip in your brain? Let's say we did clinical trials and we tested all of this stuff, and we actually could measure that having a chip in your brain will increase your well-being, right?
At the
100%.
Somebody controls that chip. Somebody can do something with that chip at any point in time. It could be race memory. It could, like, not to say like this, but like it could be like a small bomb and shit like that. Like, I know, like, it's all movies, shows, and shit like that. But what do you think they based it off of? Every movie that we've seen, somebody has tried to do it in real life, done it. Like, I know we used to watch the show Gundam way back in the 90s and shit like that. Somebody just built a real life Gundam. Like, you don't think people are trying to make robots and shit like artificial intelligence? It's happening already. It's just obviously not out in the public and shit like that. I don't see the value in it. One person controlling the world. Like, why?
I mean,
so it's not one person controlling it, but like the group of people controlling it, they have to have like the mindset for everyone else who's around. I don't think that's always happens, right? So you see this with like the face recognition that police use. It's flawed, right? It doesn't work all the time. So that's an example.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a thing where everybody gets it, and then people are going to start learning how to deactivate it. And there's going to become people who have it and who don't. You understand? Because everything can be hacked. You think that somebody's not going to be like, yo, I don't want this. Yeah, I'm going to act like it's still there, but I'm going to disable it. When things start happening, who have the chips, who don't, or is it going to be like the revolution? And me personally, I want to be a part of the revolution. Because I do feel like one day we will get to that point. I'm saying now that I'm not with it. I'm not supporting being controlled. Honestly, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. I hear like that. That's all valid. That's all valid. I mean, my only contention is that I just think it would be inevitable. You know what I mean? I just think it's like, a lot of times, like, people just 20 years ago could not even see themselves owning a cell phone.
Yeah.
And now everybody... Huh?
Like computers and all that shit, like fucking a desktop was what, $3,000 or whatever. How many years ago? Now we're talking on iPads and tablets.
Yeah.
It's definitely changing fast. That's why I say that. It's probably gonna be sooner than later. Maybe not in our life.
And I also think like all of the worries that you guys have, we already have. We're already there in terms of our phones. Like the phones are actually designed for the purposes of distraction, and they're effective, and we have them. You know, like they're very effective at distractions, and we have phones, right? Because we need them. You know what I mean? We need them. We need Google Maps. We need Google. We need Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We need all of that stuff. But it definitely has those harmful side effects. But it's just as I said, it's like a risk reward type of thing. And phones get hacked as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, like everything gets hacked. Nothing to say. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but before we move on, I just want to put my 2 cents on this. Like, I just feel like once you put that chip in your brain, I feel like you're giving up your human right, the right to be a human. You know, now, like Josh was saying, you can be controlled. There's like another entity in your brain. It's not just you and your mind. You know, it's you and your mind and somebody else. Now you got a roommate up there. And even if you are going to do it, you know, so I just put it this way, right? There's 2 people, right? There's people that buy 2K when it first comes out, and then there's people that, you know, will wait for all the updates to come out and all the bugs and shit to get fixed, and then they buy it at a lower price.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Xbox, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with the chip, same thing with the vaccine, you know what I'm saying? Wait to see how it goes, as you were saying, Collins. You know, people, you know, someone's going to try it first, right? And see how that goes. Just pay attention to it, monitor it, you know, see whether it's worth that risk or not.
Exactly. And you know now, and just to go back briefly to the car example, right? Right now we have self-driving cars, and we already have a few accidents in self-driving cars, right? Like things going wrong in those cars, but like they're still rare compared to like actually being human driven. Like if you compare the statistics, right? So like the risk we would take, I don't know. I think we even, you know, let's even come off this, because I think we actually even agree, right? There's definitely a huge risk to having something attached to your brain, right? But at the same time, the reward is also there.
Well, that's to be seen, but we can move on.
All right, so let's get to the money shits. Stimulus checks, ladies and gentlemen, round 2 is not coming your way anytime soon. Trump denied it. He came with the Montalvo, the finger wag, said
Well, no, so there's an update to that, but Trump is a funny nigga. He said, "Yo, I'll give you the stimulus checks after I win the election," which basically is making niggas think like, "Let me vote for this nigga so I can get this check." That's like a bribe to me. I don't know how you guys see it.
That is a bribe.
Like, cause I'm looking at it like, after you win the election, so we gotta vote for you to get this check. How bad you want this check now?
Yo, he said the ball is in your court. Nah.
That's some funny shit.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, he bribed the public, and he might get away with it.
Yo, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not like a direct bribe, right? It's not illegal to plan something after like an election, thinking you're gonna win. But it's some bullshit to do.
Wait, what's the difference between this and a direct bribe?
The difference between this and the direct bribe, right? So like, what you call it? Just because he said it doesn't mean like people are going to actually go out and do it, right?
Like, well, exactly. I mean, even
he's
in a
not
direct
saying, hey,
fight,
I'm only gonna do this if you do it. Because Trent flip flop. Because now he's saying he is willing to do that thing, right? But I think because he did that, because he saw the stock market go down. But I want to say this is necessarily like a direct bribe. What is it? Oh, wait, you sharing your screen? All right, here you go. So let's. All right, so President Donald Trump's economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, suggested that a deal on another round of economic stimulus was still possible, despite opposition from Senate Republicans and criticism from House Democrats on the most recent White House proposal. Go now. Negotiations between Senate Republicans and House Democrats in the White House have been at an impasse since summer, with some progress in talk between Trump administration and Democrats over the past couple of weeks. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who's leading the negotiations for the White House, put forward a $1.8 trillion compromise to counteroffer on Friday from the $1 trillion originally offered, significantly less than more than the $3 trillion Democrats approved in May. Many Senate Republicans quickly balked at the high price tag. However, as the deficit has ballooned significantly over the 2020. So let's see. I don't think the deal is dead at all, Kudlow, director of National Economic Council, insisted during a Sunday morning interview with CNN State of the Union. I spoke to the Secretary Mnuchin last evening. Look, don't forget, Republicans in the Senate put their own bill a few weeks ago and got 53 votes. I think it was, he said, so they united. I think if any agreement can be reached, they will go along with it. Although significant disagreements over funding priorities remain, all sides support sending an additional 1,200 direct stimulus payments to the majority of Americans. The White House and Democratic proposals also include an additional funding for the Paycheck Protection Program, which provides forgiveness loans to businesses to keep employees on payroll. They also both agree providing additional amount of weekly federal unemployment insurance, although they differ on the amount to provide. So I think that's enough. We don't have to even read it anymore, right?
Yeah. Hold on. So how long, like, how would they be able to do that? And how long can they realistically?
How long will they do what?
Like, because like right now, the reason why the economy is the way it is, and there's certain things, like, how long can they afford to continue to give out stimulus checks? Is it running out? It's definitely running out. They can't have that much money left.
Well, no, they're just printing money from like the Federal Reserve, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens is the Federal Reserve, they have an unlimited amount of money they can print, but the government owes them back that money. So how they pay that back is either by taxes. So either you have to raise taxes or like raise inflation. Like at one point, either of those two have to happen to pay that money back, right? The only problem is, right? So that's the problem. Republicans, they want a lower number. The only problem is people are hurting out there, right? If they actually put a really big number the first time, this all could have been solved, right? But they didn't. If it's either a big number on the stimulus checks or a bigger number with providing small businesses the money they need to keep afloat, this all could have been prevented, right? Because other countries are doing this too, and they're giving their people like what? Something like $3,000 a month, but I don't even want to compare it because like we don't know about their economies, we know about ours.
Yeah, but like the effects, the only time we'll know the effect of this period of time will be significantly later, right? It might be 2 or 3 years down the line we're going to see the effects of having given people this amount of money. Yeah. So I mean.
But like, so $1,200 though isn't enough, right? Because you have people who haven't paid their mortgages or their bills in months,
exactly.
Right? So they have suspended rent, but it's not like forgiven. They still owe that money. But if you're not working or you've been sick, right, you pay bills. Because also the problem is people who are sick and recover from the coronavirus, they have a huge bill, but they weren't working and they might have lost their job, right? But most people's health insurance is connected to their job. So if you lose your job, you effectively lose your health insurance, right?
pretty much.
Which is a bad thing. Which is why people want that, like what you call public healthcare, but they don't want it. But now we see why we may need it, right? Like even in this time that what's that? The universal basic income, like the popularity that is rising, people see like, oh, there might be a need for this.
Exactly. And you know what? Like this is interesting, right? Because people we always are led to believe by people on the left and people on the right that the issue of this is pretty simple. Like this issue is pretty simple in terms of universal basic income versus no universal basic income, right? So like the left are very, very sure that it's 100% the right thing to do, and anybody that disagrees is 100% wrong. And the right are also very sure. But this is one of those issues where definitely the answer is somewhere in between.
Well, I don't even think it's most of the left. It's a few people on the left. Like you don't see like Joe Biden running on that, right? Like these people who are establishment like Democrats, they're not running on that. It's the people who are like more like newer people coming in running on these newer ideas, right? Like Joe Biden's not even willing to do something as simple as like legalize marijuana, right?
Yeah.
So there's no way he's gonna be for like universal basic income.
Wait, it's for Bernie Sanders?
So Andrew Yang was the first person who talked about it. I mean, Rudy could look it up. We could see how he would pay for it.
Yeah,
one time.
It is Andrew Yang.
And when I saw it, it made sense. I don't remember, but it made sense. Like I don't know if it's possible, but the way it looked like it wasn't like out of nowhere. The money's coming. He had a plan for it. But the thing is just like I don't know. This like 1,200 check. That's not gonna work, right?
No, not really. Not really.
And the thing is, when it comes to like bailing out corporations, when they fuck up, they don't ever like they question the money, but at the end they give them however much they want, right? The last economic downturn, Wall Street, all these banks, they got bailed out because they were too big to fail. In a sense, that was true, but like if the American population fails, and then in turn the country fails.
Exactly.
So like when it comes to the people now, when they want stuff, then now they want to talk about, oh, we don't have the money to do this. But when you want to send niggas to war, you got the money to do all that type of shit, right? Y'all build $2 million tanks, $20 million helicopters. That's not necessarily needed, but you can't help the people of the country.
The war itself is profitable, man.
Oh, of course, you got the military-industrial complex, right? So you got people who are like contractors who go out there. You got people like so for example, in the Iraq War, right? Dick Cheney, the vice president, before he worked for a company called Halliburton, they did something with like oil and stuff like that, like build infrastructure. So when they were trying to build up do stuff over there in Iraq, they got the contract, ironically, but they're saying like, oh, there was nothing wrong with that. But like how the vice president gave the contract to the company he used to work for, that's a huge conflict of interest.
Yeah, massive. Yo, Rudy just pulled up the Andrew Yang article.
I just got the article up right now.
Right, wants many jobs. So let's see what he said. This isn't his universal basic income, but let's see. Over the 4 weeks of coronavirus shutdown, more than 17 million Americans working in retail, transportation, and other service-related industries lost their jobs. And as much as we like to deny, a lot of those jobs are gone forever, said entrepreneur and former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. And he was talking about these jobs being gone before the coronavirus, right? Mm-hmm. So this is somebody who's the only person talking about something like this. Anyway, speaking at the Axios virtual event on Wednesday, Yang warned that the business that laid off workers may not be able to hire them back even after the pandemic is over. All right, so let's go down. Macy's just furloughed the vast majority of their 130,000 employees. How many of those employees do you think they are going to rehire after the pandemic? He asked rhetorically. Do we really think ever Macy's is going to suddenly reopen and be back at 100% capacity? We are at unprecedented levels of joblessness, so we need to make very dramatic moves to allow millions of Americans to have the dollars they can to feed their families within days to come. Early Wednesday morning, Yang proposed on Twitter the federal government should give every American a monthly stimulus check of $2,000 for the duration of this crisis, highlighting the fact that a one-time $1,200 payment the government has started handing out isn't going to be enough to cover the basic living expenses if the pandemic drags on into May or even the second half of the year. So I don't know when this article happened, but they were past that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make the stimulus check bigger in a monthly payment. Oh, damn, what happened? Uh, uh, All right, to make the stimulus check a bigger monthly payment, it means trillions of dollars of additional government assistance on top of what Congress has already signed off. This, to me, is a necessary investment. Yang explained his tweet during the Axios call. When your house is on fire, you don't worry that much about the water you're using to put it out. We have an equivalent of 21 trillion fire on our hands. We have to do everything we can to help the people get through this. In the absence of this kind of stimulus, you will see unthinkable things happening. I mean, unthinkable things are happening right now. I'll go down. On Wednesday, fresh data from the Census Bureau showed that U.S. retail sales plummeted 8.7% in March from a year ago. It's twice as much as the worst fall during the 2008 financial crisis and the largest monthly decline on the Census Bureau since 1992. Almost every retail category except grocery stores and other essential businesses saw a major decline due to business closures. Clothing and accessory stores, for example, saw sales plummet 50% in March. The furniture and home furnishing category was down 26.8%. Sporting goods fell 23.3%, and electronics and appliances declined 15%. So I guess that's the end of that article. Oh, no. No, what? We re-signed this. That's the end of the article, I guess.
Yeah.
But I like how you look at it as like an investment of the people of the country, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, but like it's still like I don't know. Like I don't know enough about how.
I'll go to his website to look for the thing. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I don't know enough about how how they keep that money flowing. I mean, obviously, yeah, you say they print money, but obviously you can't print money
Forever.
forever, right? So at some point there has to be like a time where they de-escalate those efforts. So, and if these jobs are truly gone for good.
That's it, the freedom dividend. That's the universal basic income.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Andrew,
Quick question.
Mm.
For the universal basic income, do you how do you feel it should be installed or put in place for a certain period of time, like as a test, maybe like for 6 months or 2 to 6 months or so, see how it goes, and then work from there, or how do you feel?
Well, that ain't on me. I can't make that decision for the country. That's on the people who run the country, right?
Okay, but is it essentially a loan?
Well, we can read it right now. So Andrew Yang would implement the freedom dividend, a universal basic income of $1,000 a month, which is $12,000 a year for every American adult over 18. This is independent of one's work status or any other factor. This would enable all Americans to pay their bills, educate themselves, start a business, be more creative, stay healthy, relocate for work, spend time with their children, take care of loved ones, and have real stake in their future. Other than regular increases to keep off the cost of living, any change to the freedom dividend would require a constitutional amendment. It will be illegal to lend or borrow against one's dividend. A universal basic income at this level would permanently grow the economy by 12.56 to 13.10%, or about 12.5 trillion by 2025. And it would increase the labor force by 4.5 to 4.7 million. Putting money into people's hands and keeping it there would be the perpetual boost to support growth and the economy. Let's see. Approximately 40 million Americans live below the poverty line. Is there any way that says how he's going to pay for it? Let's try to find that. Goals. I'll go down. Go down. A universal basic income, or the UBI, is a version of Social Security where all citizens receive a certain amount of money per month, independent of their work status and income. Everyone from a hedge fund billionaire to New York to an impoverished single mom in West Virginia would receive a monthly check of $1,000. If someone's working at a waitress or a construction worker making $18,000 a year, he or she would essentially be making $30,000. UBI eliminates this incentive that to work that most people find troubling about traditional welfare programs. If you work, you could actually start saving and get ahead with the growing threat of automation. With the growing threat of automation, the concept has gained renewed attention. The trials began around in Oakland, Canada, and Finland, as well as India and other parts of the developing world. Today, people tend to associate universal basic income with technology utopians, but the form of UBI almost became law in the United States in 1970 and in 1971, passing the House of Representatives twice before stalling in the Senate. Versions of the idea have been championed by robust thinkers of every political persuasion for decades, including some of the most admired figures in American life. Here's a sampling. So Thomas Paine, Martin Luther King, go down, Richard Nixon, Milton Friedman.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand it a little bit more now. Like in the sense that, okay, we all know that productivity is the 100% key to growth in the economy, right? And if the technology is able to be more productive than their human counterparts, that productivity is still happening and that money is still there somewhere, right? But it's just not going into the hands of the people because they're not providing the productivity. It's this piece of technology, right? So basically that's I guess that's where the money would come from the fact that these, so that means that the businesses that have that benefit from the automation would have to pay a kind of tax against that automation. You know what I'm saying? A tax for not having people employed in the company, essentially.
No, that's not what it is. I saw it somewhere. I forgot where I saw it, but it was a way like would come through like some sort of like they would an increase of taxes first, then there's another way it would come through. I forgot the other part, but it sounded like it made sense, but I don't remember what it was exactly.
Cause I mean, whatever it was.
If you wanted to do it that way, I mean, you could do it that way, but would it be fair to those companies?
Well, okay. This is how I see it, right? So, like, so the companies are obviously not employing people anymore. So there's a huge. They free up certain wages and they contribute those wages towards getting this piece of technology that might be cheaper to maintain and misses less days and is more efficient than a human being, right? So essentially the productivity of these systems has to be more, or has to be enough where a tax against it wouldn't be necessarily be huge. It will be pretty small and it'll be reasonable.
Yeah, I guess so. But then that, to me, it seems that that'd be the same thing as when people say like, you should like balance billions and make them like transfer their wealth. Like those are companies transferring wealth, right? Right. So that depends if you have a problem with that, right? Because Apple is just sitting on like billions of dollars that they don't even use, and they just have.
And also, we know that like wealthy people do have an interest in being in a strong economy, right? And if they are convinced that giving people this universal basic income will strengthen the economy and allow people to spend more money within their businesses, then they'll do it, right? It would make sense to do it.
So I mean, but some of the people who are against this in Congress are wealthy, right? So that's not necessarily always the case. And I mean, wealthy people, no matter what the economics of the country, for the most part, they're going to be wealthy. They're going to take a hit, but they're still going to be overall fine.
Yeah, And so they're going to be overall fine. Like for example, okay, so like say they decided to go offshore, right? They decided, you know what, I'm getting taxed too heavily. Let me go somewhere else that doesn't have UBI. Would they be better off there? Would they make more money in that new place?
I mean, it depends how much like. So if they move there but to keep the business here, it depends how much it costs to transfer that money from there. Because I'm sure there's a cost of taxes like to transfer that money there. But if it's less than what they would have paid, I guess so.
And you know, okay, so here's a reason, for example, why we want automation, right? Because obviously there are really really terrible conditions where human beings are being made to work, and if we could replace the need for human beings to work in those in sweatshops and things like that by adding a piece of technology to do all the work, you would actually be helping. You would actually be helping out the world, right? By doing that.
Yeah. So Andrew Yang, I don't think Andrew Yang is saying that automation is a bad thing. He's saying it has bad consequences and effects, and those need to be seriously thought and worked out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I'm Andrew. It's not even necessarily an Andrew Yang point here, but I'm saying like, so yeah, that would be an example of a positive consequence of having automation, and that's a reason why you would want more automation, right? So like, but the trade-off for that is obviously the unemployment thing, where okay, so these people don't have that job anymore, they're unemployed, and we don't have any plan in place to support them, and because we don't have any plan in place to support them, they don't have any money to spend in our economy, and our economy suffers because of it, right? So that's so I mean that's the rationale I would for UBI, for universal basic income, in that circumstance.
Yeah, I mean
Go on, sorry.
No, so I mean it's a good concept, but just in practice you have to figure out how to do it. But the people who run the country are gonna have to want to do it, right? There's a large majority of them that don't on both sides that aren't gonna want to do that universal basic income. Because we just saw they said people tried this in the 60s and 70s, which I didn't even know.
They tried that?
Yeah, they saw on the website that it passed twice in the House but failed in the Senate, like the 70s. Then you seen the list of people, right? And different people like Richard Nixon, who's a Republican. You had Martin Luther King. You had Milton Friedman, who was an economist. There was different people on that list. And then they moved, not just I guess his part, but just some sort of basic income that people they think deserve.
And what about it didn't work?
Well, I don't know. Right? But they said on the website that they tried it twice in the House and it didn't pass, and they showed people who suggested things like this.
So okay, so what's the difference? Is there a difference between the concept of UBI and socialism?
I was just about to say part of the reason why people don't want that socialism, and I don't necessarily think so. Like, because we would still be a democratic country if we have UBI, right? Like, if you're paying taxes in to get money back, right? I don't see like you pay taxes to get programs back. Like people pay taxes, but they don't really see the benefits of the tax they pay, right? We pay taxes to fix the roads is fucked up, the bridges is fucked up. We pay taxes for the schools. You can't even choose what school you go to, right? If you try to go to school outside of the district, you can go to jail for that, right?
Yeah. That's
so why not? If people want to pay taxes to get benefits out of it, why not? Whether it's free college, free healthcare, universal basic income, why not? Right? Because now we see we're in a situation where some of these things, at least all of these, but at least we should have some of these things, right?
Mm-hmm. Let me go back to the school thing, right? So, like, do you guys think that eventually we're gonna be in a situation where school from home is gonna be the norm?
Maybe not for like the whole public, but I can see it for like the rich who get like the best tutors and pay for their kids, right, to go to school.
Well, not necessarily even like you wouldn't even necessarily have to hire a tutor to come to your house.
Right? Yeah, I didn't mean like your house, but you could have like some sort of Zoom call like this. I can see that happening. Yeah.
And do you see that sticking in a way that like it's most people are doing that rather than going to a physical school?
I mean, I don't know, because parents, they have to go to work, right? And then also there are benefits of going to school, like that social interaction.
Because I'm wondering like how, if there is a potential for the concept of a school district to not necessarily have, to not have as much power as it currently does. Like the idea that, oh, you're not allowed inside the school district if most education is remote. You can conceivably go to any school you want.
I guess so, but then I think that rule change will still they'll still try to make a way like, oh, you still live here, so you have to go to this virtual school in this district, right? I can see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, but like, would they be able to truly enforce a regulation like that?
So yeah, so I seen a story where like a kid was in his room doing he was somewhere, I don't know if he was in his room or like in another room or whatever, but he was doing his homework, right? Or no, he was in class. Then his little brother came in the room and like tripped over his BB gun, right? So he went, took the BB gun and put it on his desk just to move it out the way. And then the school called the parents and they tried to expel him. But he was in his home. They say that's the same as bringing that gun to school.
That's crazy,
right? So they were able to fight the expulsion, but they still say he got suspended, and they're trying to fight that and do appeal for that. But like, yeah, I can see stuff like that happening.
a setup like that is so. I mean, it will go so viral. It's so, you know what I'm saying? Like, if these things are recorded, right? And this is where like the court of public opinion can actually really help things out, right? Because if something like that happens, the fact that you know about it like that, because all of it is recorded, essentially, right, will mean that there will be some sort of like a disincentive against doing that. You could potentially lose your job. You could get canceled.
I mean, well, they were doing what was in their job, right? So even though it's fucked up, like that should happen, but that was still part of their job. But at the same time, most people want their kids in school. Like people who are fighting for schools to be open, they don't like the virtual learning for whatever reason. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. So, Louisiana student was suspended after a teacher reported seeing a gun in the boy's bedroom during a virtual class. The attorney representing the child said there was a BB gun, and the school went too far applying its on-campus policy without considering the privacy of the child and his family. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry announced that Friday his office is investigating. I'm alarmed by what appears to not only be multiple violations of both state and federal constitutions, but also blatant government overreach by the school system, Landry said in a statement. For anyone to conclude that a student's home is now the school's property because of the connectivity through the video conferencing is absurd. It's ludicrous for this all-American kid to be punished for taking responsible actions, just as it is for his parents to be accused of neglect. How the incident happens. I can't even pronounce his name. Harrison, a fourth grader at Woodmere Elementary School, and I don't even think that's Kamari, but we can say Kamari Harrison, a fourth grader at Woodmere Elementary School in Jefferson Parish, was taking a test in his bedroom on September 11th after being sick and not participating online school the day before, family attorney Chelsea Kuzmaniel told CNN on Friday. She said Kamari had muted the volume on his computer so he could concentrate and he had muted himself since it was required when students are not speaking. One of his siblings who shares his room stepped or tripped on the BB gun that Kamari had received as a gift. Kamari picked up the gun and was out of sight from the screen for a moment. He placed the gun next to him in his chair. Kamari noticed his teacher was trying to get his attention in the virtual classroom. According to school documents, Kazmi was shared with CNN that as the teacher called Kamari's name, the student was disconnected from the screen due to internet issues. The school tried to reach the parents unsuccessfully and then called Kamari's grandfather. The emergency contact him and his child had a gun during a virtual class, according to school documents. School recommended expulsion, then amended to suspension. School documents show the school recommended Kamari for expulsion for possession of a starter gun, stun gun, or I don't even know what that word is, according to Jefferson Parish Public School Policy and Procedures. At the hearing held on September 22nd, it was determined Kamari was guilty of displaying a face smile weapon while receiving
Facsimile.
a virtual. What is it?
Facsimile. That's a strange word.
Facsimile?
Anyway.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how they're using it, but facsimile means like a small amount or a small. I don't know, like something like that. I don't know, like I don't even understand it in this.
Facsimile weapon. And that's like, okay. Facsimile weapon while receiving virtual education. Kuzmano, who told CNN she participated in the hearing, said hearing officer determined it was a BB gun. The school amended the recommendation for expulsion to suspension for 6 days and social work assessment. Kamari returned to the online school on Thursday, September 24th. He had been out of school since the day of the incident, according to Kuzmano. Kuzmano told CNN that Jefferson Parish School took an on-campus weapons policy and unilaterally determined that they're going to apply it to one of their students in a manner as if he was on campus and are not considered any measures such as the privacy of his own home. In a statement to CNN, Jefferson Parish School CNN, we do not comment on the individual or student records regarding discipline. It is our policy that teachers and administrators may employ reasonable disciplinary and corrective measures to maintain order. Kuzmano agrees there's a gap in the way schools enact policy in virtual learning environment, which should consider the things that take place in a private home. But yeah, so that's a wild story, right? So the teacher wasn't wrong for contacting, like trying to figure out if that's a real gun or not. But once you determine it's not a real gun, there's no need for suspension, right? Because now you take that kid out of the classroom and
now
punish
let's
him.
say okay. So let's say it was a real gun. Does your opinion change?
Not necessarily, right? So you might have to call the police just to make sure, like, he's not in like the gun. I don't know, because if it's a real gun, then there is a problem. But you should not be suspended from school. That has to be dealt with, like his parents, whatever authorities are dealt with, right?
Yeah, it's the wrong punishment for the crime.
Yeah, you don't punish the child for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now you take him out of school, like for what, right?
Exactly.
So then you just disrupted this kid's learning.
Yeah, so we can get into this Tory situation.
So I have a question about that. Have you guys listened to this guy's album?
Nah, I can't even.
I'll listen to the response.
You just listened to the response, so you didn't stream the album or nothing?
No.
Well, y'all still gonna listen to the music after this shit?
I don't know. So would you listen to any other artist that affiliates with him? Like, let's say, like, he gets a feature of Tory Lanez. Like, an artist, let's say, like, DaBaby gets a feature of Tory Lanez. Would you still listen to DaBaby after?
You can listen to DaBaby, but, like, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't think you could just, I can't really fuck with Tory, like, because even though, like, right now, the narrative is they're shooting, like, he's not really coming out saying anything, right? And, like, the thing is, she was shot. That's no, like, which if ands are about it, right? Being that she's pointing the finger at him, I can't really fuck with a nigga like that, right? Because I'm trying to figure out what would her reasoning to lie.
Well, I don't think he's trying to incriminate himself. That's probably part of it.
No, that's part of it, but like, so if you're saying you're not believing her, what would her reason to lie, right? And then if you're not, you don't believe her, who shot her then? Because she did get shot. Mm-hmm. It's not like right?
Yeah, there were rules.
Right, like that was your sister, like, you know what I'm saying? Is you still gonna be fucking listening to this nigga?
I mean, I don't know what happened. All I'm gonna say is that, you know, it was obviously they were fucking with each other. They got into it, and you know, one thing led to another. But I mean, to really take sides isn't fair. Like, I don't know Meg, I don't know Tory, so it's like I can't be like, oh, I don't fuck with him because he shot her. Like why?
So then who shot her? Because she did get shot. That's not like that's a fact.
I'm not saying that he didn't shoot her, but I mean, even if he did, it's like it's like honestly, it's like being mad at Chris Brown. Like, bro, like they obviously were in a toxic relationship. She clearly put hands on him too. He just lost it one day and like really hit her. So it's
Yeah, but
like,
she forgave him. That's the difference. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like with Chris Brown, she forgave him. He was contrite. He moved on, right?
yeah,
Because there was a moment in time where nobody was fucking with Chris Brown. He wasn't on the radio. You couldn't listen to him on like you couldn't unless you actually went out and listened to him to find him. You couldn't listen to him, right? He wasn't on TV. Like the industry was blackballing for a minute.
but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like that's fucked up. Why? Because me and my girl got into some shit and I hit her. Like, am I not gonna fuck with you because you fought your girl? Like,
You should have fucked with niggas that beat up their girls.
listen, bro, you don't know who gets into it with who at the end of the day.
Yeah, so you don't. But when you find out, you don't. But when you find out, now you have a decision to make, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess. Like, hey, I don't fuck with him because that's who kind of person. I mean, all right. Like, even if he is convicted and he did it, it's like I still fuck with him personally. I fuck with his music. I'm not gonna stop listening to him.
So I guess it depends. Like, where do you draw the line of like, where a person like morals versus their music, right? Like, do you still fuck with R. Kelly, right? Like, do you still listen to R. Kelly?
Honestly, no. I feel like that's completely different. When it comes to like rape and
And what if she shot
What
and he
about Michael
died? She
Jackson?
died.
I'm not with that.
But what
When
if
it
he shot
comes
her and
to
she died?
wait, what?
Like, she could have died from being shot. Like that's a thing. That's why you can't sit there.
In the
That's
foot?
why you really can't fuck with it, right?
She got shot in the foot.
You could die from a gunshot in the foot. You could bleed out. They got veins in your foot.
Now, don't get me wrong. I hear you, but that's stretching it, bro. Like
It's
that's
stretching because she survived, right? What if she was paralyzed or like her foot was fucked up? She couldn't walk properly, right?
I mean, I guess, but either way, like that still doesn't change the fact that they was fucking with each other. They got into some shit and they fought.
So it's only okay because they was fucking with each other. They wasn't fucking with each other. Then you wouldn't fuck with her for that.
Not to say that I wouldn't fuck with him for that, but I mean, I'm not choosing sides. Like I'm not gonna say that because I have friends and fucking family who treat everybody the same. They don't see it as, oh, she's a girl, so I'm not gonna hit her if she punches me in my face. Like, nah, like it's quiet. She's a big girl, bro. Like, not even to say it like this, but like, remember how Moesha was when we was in middle school and shit like that? She was fucking bigger than us. She would fucking hit us like she was a grown nigga. You think
Well,
that
she
girl
ain't hit
wasn't
me. I
gonna
don't
punch
think
her in
that,
the
boy.
fucking face back? Like, are you
She
not gonna
hits
fuck
hard,
with me
bro. It's
because
so
I
bad.
punched? Yeah, like, are you not gonna fuck with me because I punched her in the face? Like, if
So there's a difference between you
that's
being
the
in middle
case,
school
then
and you being a grown adult.
exactly. You don't think
Tory's
that
an adult.
Megan Thee Stallion put her hands on this thing? You don't
You know
think
what he
that
could have
she
done?
did anything?
You
He
know what
just
he could have
came
done?
out of his face.
He
You
could have
think
left the
he
car. He
came
could have got
out of
out.
his face and just shot her though, bro? Like I don't believe that. You must not fuck with Tory Lanez then to really
No, I
believe
did
that.
fuck with him before that. I got a bunch of Tory shit on my phone, but like, you pull out a gun, you could have just walked out the car. Like, he
I
had
guess
other
nigga
options
could did a
besides,
lot of things.
but you had
Definitely
other
did a lot of
options,
things.
right? Like, you were a grown adult, right? You had other options.
Mhm.
But I can't sit and give a nigga an excuse.
I mean, like I said, if Moesha came trying to fight me, bro, and I shot her. If you're not fucking with me for that, then I mean, all right, cool. Not even to say it like that, but like, if you're not gonna fuck with me because bitch came at me and I did what I had to do, no matter what the fucking case was, because I'm not trying to. I'm gonna shoot you in your foot to prove it. Hey, all right. It's just because they're celebrities is why it's magnified, but there's no difference between that and Moesha slapping a fucking kid, slapping somebody who's just short. You don't think a short nigga is gonna punch Moesha in her face or shoot her because she's bigger than her? Him?
Remember the last time you seen was just slapping somebody? She be chilling.
I'm just saying, like, just a bigger female who's not soft, who's a gangster. You feel me? They don't play that shit.
No, you got other options. Like, before somebody slapping you, there's a way you could just get the fuck out of that situation. But I'm sure
I hear you, but you must not have been in many situations then, bro. Like it's very different when you're in
like, you
the
can't.
moment.
I don't know how you justify niggas shooting females, dog. Right? If a nigga was shorter than your sister and he did the same situation, you're not gonna be hearing none of that shit. Any family member you fuck with, you're not hearing none of that shit.
To be honest, that's a lie because I have family from shot each other, married and shit like that. So you can't tell me personally how I would feel about that nigga. So it's like,
so if it happened to your sister, it would be okay then, because someone's bigger, she's bigger than somebody.
If it happened to my sister, if literally she's in a relationship right now with Jeremiah, if they got into a fight and this nigga shot her, I'm only gonna come for him because that's my sister. She got hurt. I don't give a fuck about anything else. But it happened to my fucking cousin. Why am I not gonna fuck with my other cousin? Because what? They got into some shit. She fucked him up, stabbed him. He shot her. Like,
well, that's a different story. You're talking about stabbing. Now you fighting for your life. That's a different story, right?
but what is the difference between stabbing, fighting? Like, he was wrong for shooting her, but he didn't kill her. He didn't do anything like that. So I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I don't fuck with him for that.
I mean, I can't fuck with them. You can't be out here shooting females just because they was hitting you and shit like that. Like, there's ways you could have avoided that shit, dog.
I just don't get it. Like, there's two other people in the car, right? The friend, and then there was a bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
A bodyguard.
Yeah, multiple people in the car.
Bodyguard.
But, you know, the one finger gets pointed at Tory, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, he did it. So,
how does this happen with the bodyguard in the car?
The only reason why.
That's Megan. She didn't change her story 3 different times.
What was her changing the story?
She was scared. When she first got arrested and shit like that, she said she didn't know what happened or whatever. Like, she just got shot this time, the third. The very next couple of days, yeah, Tory shot me, blah, 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 like all this other shit. Like, and then they asked her why, and she was like, oh, when we first got arrested, you know, I was scared. I didn't want to get in trouble or whatever. I didn't want anybody to get in trouble in the car. But a couple of days later, it was this, that, and the third. This nigga did this, that, and the third. Like, come on, man. You telling me that's not somebody in your ear? Like, yo, you know, it's either going to be you or him type shit.
But she didn't cooperate with the police.
Exactly. She said that nothing happened. She said that she didn't know. She said nothing until a couple of days later. Yeah, he did that. This time the third, yada yada. Like,
and by the way, that's not normal. That happens all the time in abusive relationships, right? Or just this church that happens. People don't.
In an abusive what? In abusive what? Relationships. In abusive relationships.
That don't mean you gotta switch.
Man, if you judge other people on their relationship, then
Dog,
I don't know.
shooting a female is a whole nother step too far,
Some
right?
people feel differently, and that's all I can say.
Like, if your life is ultimately in danger, then I guess, yeah. But, like, no, no.
But I have to stress again, he did not shoot her in the arm, anywhere above the leg area. He literally shot her foot. That's like you talking shit to me, and I'm like, nigga, get the fuck out of my face, bro. And you're like, nah, what the fuck you gonna do about it, nigga? I will fucking shoot you, bro. Get the fuck out of my face. And you think I'm playing, and boom, I shoot you in your foot.
But you saying that's no big deal, too. You get shot in your foot.
What do you mean? I'm not saying that it's not a big deal, but
No, but
between
you
two
keep
people
saying, oh,
who
you only shot her in
fighting,
the
going
foot.
through shit, between people going through shit, like, no, he could, if it was really like that, if he wanted to kill Megan Thee fucking Stallion, you think that he would have just shot her in the foot?
Dog,
Honestly, if he wanted to kill her.
but he could have. He could have missed it somewhere else. Like, they're in a closed confinement in the car, right?
So he could have killed her.
Though, so just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it's not serious, right? Just because it didn't happen doesn't mean you totally dismiss that away.
I disagree. I see zero intent to kill somebody shooting them in the foot.
And he could have missed. Maybe he didn't want to. He could have missed.
Especially being in such close proximity. How do you miss? I'm sitting right next to you. How the gun literally has to be pointed in a complete different direction. Like, there's no way I'm aiming at your foot and I'm accidentally shooting you in the head. How? In the car, sitting right next to each other. How?
Bullets
I
ricochet,
can
right?
literally see that as some pull the gun out and literally point it at her fucking feet. That's the only way I can see that happening, bro. Only way.
Bullets ricochet. It can hit the floor, bounce off some shit,
and then hit her in the foot, in the car, in the fucking caddy truck. The
it
shit that
can hit
we
the
see
driver,
in.
get anybody else in the car. Right? Like that's wild to shoot a nigga in the car, right?
So with what you're saying, it doesn't even seem likely that he even meant to shoot her. With what you're saying, the bullets ricochet, this, that, and the third. He probably missed. Like, how do we even know he was trying to shoot her? How do we even know what the fuck really happened? Except for her saying he shot me in the back of the foot.
But again, what's your point for lying on his name?
What is the point of her switching her story from the time she got arrested till a couple days later?
She never got arrested.
Why didn't she? Well, I mean, when she all that shit happened, why didn't she cooperate? Why didn't she be like, "Yo, that nigga shot me in the foot. There's guns and shit in the car or whatever." Like,
don't you think the climate? Don't you think the climate has something to do with it? Like, what's going on in the world have to do something with it?
Yeah, and that's exactly what she said. But it's like, so what? How are you gonna get in trouble in any type of way? The nigga shot you. How are you gonna get in trouble? Would you not want him to get shot or whatever? Would you not want him now to get in a lot of trouble right then and there? You want to wait a couple days for him to get in trouble? Like,
no, this is the police. No, this is the police we talking about. They don't care. They shoot indiscriminately, right? So they could have found there's a gun in their car. They shoot first, ask question later. That makes sense. Right? Police shoot niggas without guns. So they know you got a gun in the car and you black. Come on, dog. We not playing that game.
So let's.
And you know police miss hit other niggas too, right? They don't just shoot one. They shoot like 30 clips at a time. They empty the whole clip. So come on, man.
I hear that completely. I don't know. It's very weird, and like something clearly happened. He clearly got shot, but the circumstances surrounding it, nobody should be at fault. It's literally a him versus her. Guy hits the girl. Guy's a piece of shit. The girl did nothing wrong. So I'm tired of giving girls that fucking credit. I know abusive girls and shit like that bring that out of niggas. So, like I said, for you to know Tory Lanez his whole career, knowing that he never had any type of domestic violence trouble.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that, right? Hold on, we don't know that. It's not
I followed the nigga for the last 7-8 years. You're telling me that not one time he done got into some shit with a girl and it never got reported?
It could have happened, bro. Obviously, this shit happened. Niggas don't know about that shit that much.
But you still know about it. It was still out there. Like, when I tell you that, not once has he ever did some shit like this, and it's like, okay, he may have did it now, but are we really just gonna be like, oh, you know, she didn't deserve that, like, oh, he's a piece of shit asshole, yada yada, like, you know, they were probably just arguing or whatever. Like, nah, I'm tired of giving girls that fucking silver spoon, that credit.
If you get shot, that's not no silver spoon, right? Like, we don't. Tory's out and about. There's no injuries on him. He's walking perfectly fine. But she's the one who shot.
But why? You how do you know that this nigga don't got mad scratches and bruises and all that shit? How?
If he did, he would have done that to clear his name.
You really believe that? You really believe
100%.
he would? Yo, this bitch was hitting me too. Like, the fuck? You really think a nigga is gonna ever say that? We know Rihanna was fucking hitting Chris. He still never said that she was hitting him.
He did. He had interviews where they said they was fighting in the car. Chris definitely said that, right? And the Chris situation ain't the same as the Tory situation.
This could be an amazing clip. I'm telling you right now.
I mean, I don't know. I just can't fuck with it. Like, if he comes out and he's innocent, then I mean, you know, what I mean, then that's something that, you know, would probably to be dealt with in the public. But like, right now, it's like the evidence is leaning towards him at the moment.
Yeah, because I was thought of it this way. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Not like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, like, because I talked, Rudy, me and you talked about this, right? Imagine if the headline was, you know what I'm saying, Megan Thee Stallion died, right? And obviously, like, it's hard to, you know what I'm saying, deny that she got, the only reason why people are doubtful is these three things, right? She said that she got shot in both feet, but, you know, we only saw injury from one foot, and, you know, as we saw her walking, maybe out of the club, she had like a cast on one foot or like a bandage on one foot, right? And then she also got shot, but there was no, you know, it didn't hit any the bullets or whatever. I don't know. The people saying it's fragments or whatever ricocheted.
The shells hit their foot, not the bullet specifically.
Yeah, and like, cause I heard like different opinions from different people. And Adela was saying like the type of gun that they described that was used, you know what I'm saying, that you know you're not walking after getting shot by that. So and then we're just hearing different stories, so that's why people are kind of hesitant on making a final judgment, right? So I agree that everything is leaning towards, you know, Tory really being guilty of this, right? And since forever, I don't know why people think it's innocent until proven guilty. We live in a guilty until proven innocent society. So I feel like this is career damage, and it's just unfortunate, right? Because when you first hear this, in your mind, you're just thinking, what made you do that? Right? Because I'm still in shock every time I hear about this, like, this situation. Like, what made you do that, bro? Like, because the first, and then when you ask yourself that, your first thing is like, yo, bro, he must have been getting his behind whooped if he pulls out a gun and tries to shoot someone in the foot, right? All these scenarios start running through your head, and I'm just still thinking about it now. Like, what what is what really happened, right? Like, because Meg saying it's Tory shot him in the foot, and then Tory said like, that's not me. How you gonna know it's me when you weren't looking behind it? Someone shot you from the back. I'm just figuring out how did this situation escalate this much when there was a security guard there. Then also there was one other person in the car. I think it was Meg's friend, and I don't know if she said anything about the situation. I don't know if she spoke out. So there's just a lot of things that we just don't know yet. So it's looking like Tory's guilty of this, right?
I mean, I don't know if he's guilty, but like, he's charged, right? So there must have been enough evidence to bring out a charge.
Right, but what happens if he, because it's looking like, you know what I'm saying, he's not innocent of this based on like, I don't know, I guess, yeah, say we'll just use public opinion, like, you know what I'm saying, they're ready to get him out of here, cancel him, trying to deport him. But what if it does come out that he is innocent? Like, are people going to apologize, or it's just going to be like, all right, whatever?
That's my thing. What if he's innocent? What are they gonna say?
I mean, at that point, I don't know, but like you could change your mind based on the facts, right? Or maybe people beat their kids and be guilty too. So that depends on each individual, right? They're gonna change based on the facts of information, right? Some people they don't want to be wrong, so they won't do that.
What if the bodyguard comes out and says that he didn't shoot her? It was her friend. Bullshit. Like how would niggas feel? Niggas would look so fucking dumb, just trying to make this nigga seem like he's the bad guy.
I mean, I guess so, but again, they're going off the facts that they have. You can't necessarily blame them for that, right?
The facts that they have proven is that she was shot. She said that he shot her, and
he said nothing. Yeah, she said nothing, and no one else said nothing. So, and then now he's charged with the thing too, right? So you can't get charged with like little to no evidence. There has to be some sort of evidence to get charged.
Yeah, that's three pieces right there. She was shot. She said he did it, and the bullet goes to his gun. That's all you need right there.
So, based off that, why would we think someone else did it?
I'm not saying someone else did it. I'm just saying that there's three other people who aren't letting their side go, and I wonder how much they're getting paid not to, and on whose side is paying them to not to.
Or they just don't want to be a part of this shit, right? Who knows? Whatever it is, you don't know something they're getting paid. Like unless you got proof of him getting paid.
I mean, nah, but I mean, bro, we know how the industry goes these days, man. If you're around something that happens, they're not gonna pay you hush money.
I guess so,
man. It is who it is, no matter what the situation is. I don't want you to say anything about nothing. Slide you. Oh, I don't want to be a part of it, so I'm not gonna say anything. Like the bodyguard, I guess he's literally being paid to shut the fuck up. But her friend, bro, you don't think her friend would be defending her like there was nobody's business? She didn't even pop up on the live when she explained all that shit.
She said what?
I said she didn't pop up on the live when Meg was like, explaining everything that happened and shit like.
Well, she's a friend. That doesn't mean she's with her every day.
Why is her friends? Is my thing. I understand his bodyguard or whatever, but why is her friend not shitting?
I don't know.
That's why I'm like the whole I don't want to stay out of it. I understand, but when that comes up to court, she's gonna have to fucking say something.
Of course, like in court, yeah, you get suspended, so like you got to, right? So like, it could be a strategic thing too. Like, yo, just wait till you get to court.
Chess, not fucking check.
You know what I mean? But for the moment, based on the facts I have, I can't really fuck with it. I'm not saying I'm not saying guilty, but like, if his gun and this shit he's shot, come on, man. Like, how else would somebody get his gun?
No, yeah, 1000%. I just can't not fuck with.
So if it's true, you still gonna fuck with him?
He shot a bitch in her foot. Yup. I'm not gonna lie. I am. I can't see why I wouldn't. Cause why? Cause you shot your girl in her foot. I'm not
Yeah, that's
taking
wild.
it as he shot a girl. I'm not taking it as he doesn't fuck with females. He's shooting the female. No, I'm not taking it at all. It's different when they're in a relationship, bro. I can't stress that enough.
I don't think so because we don't know how long they was in a relationship for, right? It could have been a month. That's wild, right?
He said that they've known each other for a minute. If you listen to his album, they've been on some brother and sister type relationship. Long time, bro. Like that's not just kept for the album. Like that's nigga, we've been friends for a minute. And now all this should happen and throw it all away. It's
But
basically that nigga.
how long is a minute? That game been along for a long time. It's been probably on for what, a year and a half, maybe?
But just because when she blew up doesn't mean that niggas didn't know her before. Like she's what 20-something years old. Like
Where would he know her from, dog? She was a regular chick in college before she blew up.
exactly. Just like Dave East. Niggas knew Dave East before this nigga was Dave East. You feel me? Niggas knew Megan Thee Stallion before she was Megan Thee Stallion.
That's two different things, right? Davies, you might have known Dave because he was like a street nigga. Then also he said he knew different people who was in the industry anyway.
But as a nigga, if I know a chick before she blows up, that's what I feel like that is. Like, if they were cool for a couple of years, obviously they was cool before she blew up.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, right?
That's hard to not say, but I guess. Either way, man, I feel like it's deeper than he shot her. Doesn't.
Word. So there's about a fact.
Because what if they end up being cool? What if we see them hanging out? What does that mean?
So she has the right to forgive him, right? That's not on any of us, right? The same thing with Chris and Rihanna. If they forgive it, they fuck with each other. That's not on anybody else's business or problem, right? Once that happens, you gotta assess for yourself. Can you fuck with him or not, right? So for people, they might see it and say, okay, maybe there's some reason I can fuck with him again. Some people they can't. That's on each individual.
Very true. Yeah, I guess that's maybe all it comes down to. Then you have to just decide, like, am I gonna...
Before we get to that, I just want to talk about Game 6. You know, how y'all feel about it? You know what I'm saying? What could have happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it just unfortunate that Duncan Robinson was just throwing up anything and it was just going in? You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Butler wild out again. You know what I'm saying? LeBron got 40, AD had 28 and didn't miss shit from the free throw line. He's actually 100% from the free throw line this series. This MVP for this series is neck and neck between AD and Bron. I thought Bron had it, but I don't know. That free throw number is kind of eye-jarring to me. So it's neck and neck for me still. It depends on who wiles out tonight. Can't wait for the game. Rudy, I don't know if you want to do a live stream or do we just do analysis after the game. I don't know how you want to do it, but we'll talk about that. So fellas, how do y'all feel?
This, if the Lakers don't close this out tonight, Miami's winning Game 7. That's all I'm saying. Because there's so much pressure on the Lakers to win this shit. And with the role players the Lakers have right now and what they're showing right now, what they're showing me, I'm taking Miami's role players as an advantage. And if they can't come up with clutch time in Game 6, I'm telling you, Miami's just going to step on their throne in Game 7. I don't want to doubt LeBron because I love LeBron. He's all-time GOAT, but
I'm not willing to go that far. If they lose, they're going to win Game 7. Like, come on, we see LeBron come down 3-1. So, like, I feel like he could definitely win. But, like, First of all, I gotta address something John said. Duncan Robinson is nice. It's not just luck he was throwing them shits up. Him and Tyler Hero, them niggas could ball, right? So it ain't not to just throw them shit up. He hits those shots. That's what he been doing the whole season. This is the whole the whole playoff, the whole series, right? And he's really trying to get to the point where he's from because he didn't go to a big name school and he was undrafted. So it ain't no luck. Like, they just hitting the shots.
Oh no, I didn't even disrespect him on that note. I'm just saying that anything he was throwing up was going in basically. Like, even on fouls, it was and 1 3-point fouls. Yeah, like that's what I meant. Like everything he was throwing up.
Honestly,
he's been on fire.
At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with the Heat. It's the Heat are literally playing the best that they can. Like their very fucking best is literally why they're still in it. The Lakers are playing trash right now, bro. LeBron and AD are the only reason why we still in this. This is why literally one of the two have to be on the floor at all points in times of the game, or we will lose. Like the others is what they say, like the Tyler Hero or the Duncan or whatever. That should be our Kyle Kuzma. That should be our fucking Danny Green. Them niggas fucking trash right.
And by the way, before you continue, that decision when LeBron passed to Danny Green and people criticizing is bullshit. LeBron made the right call. Danny Green should have made the shot.
That was 4-1, right?
Yeah, it was wide open.
Literally, he made that play 20 times that game. 20 times. It was the right play.
That was the right play.
Danny Green is everybody is just disappointed, bro. Nobody is hitting their threes. Hardwell Pope.
Yeah, so
and that's it. So,
no, Rondo is too. He's getting people open. He's making shots like at the key moments, right? So when LeBron's not there, the offense moves with Rondo. So it's LeBron, AD, KCP, and Rondo. The only ones who are actually consistent doing their job.
Yeah, consistent.
Exactly, right?
Those four only. And that's the only reason why it's even a game 6. Honestly, if the Lakers played the way that they should play, how they need to play, how they played in the first 3 series against Houston, the Nuggets, and the Grizzlies, like we would have packed them up already. The niggas is slacking, bro.
Also, Jimmy
Butler, the Heat, but they're not as good as the Lakers, bro. We was up 37 the first game. Now we can't even get a 10-point lead. That don't make no sense. And they had their full squad. Full squad first game. We was up by almost 40, bro. Now we can't even get a 10-point lead. Like that's the Lakers. Nothing to do with the Heat.
No, the Heat are a good team. You can dismiss them, right? So Jimmy Butler's leading his team playing great basketball. Like they don't have a bunch of superstars. They play fundamental great basketball. And if you play that, you could beat any team, right? So like I think the last 3 years of the finals has kind of like misjudged on what a good team is because we're seeing superstar teams, the Warriors, right? We've seen them, then they got KD and all of them, but like a lot of the teams are just good fundamental teams, right? They have one good star player, and then a bunch of other role players, maybe a second guy, then other role players that fit that team. We just haven't seen that in a long time.
Facts. No, yeah. The Heat is definitely, as what you just said, a good team. They are a great team. But at the end of the day, the Lakers are a better team on paper. In real life, they're just not playing like it. Nothing against the Heat. The Heat is a good team. Jimmy Butler is holding it down. But the fact that there's a game 6 is not a testament to the Heat playing good. The Lakers are not.
What are you talking about?
No,
This can be correct.
Wide open threes, bro. That's not Heat defense.
You said what?
Wide open shots. Fucking 20 turnovers in the first half. That's not because of the Heat, bro. That's the Lakers playing fucking sloppy. And
some of that was good defense, right? They have a good defensive team. Like they didn't get there by accident, right?
They do, but throwing it out of bounds. Now, I'm not talking about the last play. I'm talking about like maybe second or third quarter, throwing it out of bounds because he thought a nigga was cut and then he popped out. It's like, come
So
on.
that's the miscommunication that happens all the time in the game. Like every game that happened on the Heat team too, right? But they're a great team. Like they beat the MVP. They beat the Celtics who had like 3 superstars. So it's not far fetched that they could beat the Lakers.
It's not, but they shouldn't. If you look at the Lakers right now, you look at the Heat, you would say Lakers in 5.
And that's if you don't know basketball. If you sit there and watch the game, you're seeing the team. You can see and sit there see how they can beat them, right? 'Cause I had this game going like 6 games, right? No, I had 5 games originally, right?
No.
But they just played well up to expectations. Like their rookies are playing up to their expectations. I mean, they're exceeding it. Right?
If you just watch the last series of the Lakers versus the Nuggets, they were killing it. Everybody was hitting. AD was unstoppable. LeBron was having a triple-double almost every game. Like,
So that's
if you saw that team, you'd be like, yo, they're winning the finals. 1,000%. You see game 1 of the finals, yeah, they're about to sweep them. It's over. You see game 2, yeah, they're probably still going to win it in like 5 games. You see game 3, yeah, the Heat probably going to force a game 7. It's like, bro, how is that the Heat?
it is because they won the games. They didn't win those games by accident. It wasn't like bullshit, right? Like they were winning that last game most of the game, right? But you can't judge the last season just this series. You have to take each series as a new series because there's new players. Coaches make adjustments. Eric Spoelstra is a good coach. Pat Riley is a good GM. He has multiple rings. They have a great system in Miami, right? So it's not like it's not the Heat. It definitely is the Heat. They're going punch for punch with them every time, except for that first game might have just been a fluke. For the rest of the games, they've been close, punch for punch every time. Right? They're not letting up. They don't let up.
Yeah, but Walter, would you also say that the Lakers are not playing their best basketball? Because to be honest, like if the Lakers are hitting on all cylinders, bro, it's going to be more like the first game because they really got blitzed by 30.
Yeah. Do you feel like they're playing at their full potential right now?
Not 100%, but like so LeBron's playing his 40%. AD might be playing. Say Rondo and KCP are. The rest of them is wishy-washy.
Exactly. There was not wishy-washy the last 3 series in game 1 and 2.
No,
game
they won
3,
what you call it in that Portland series. Everyone was not playing up to That was you can't judge it based off the last series. Each series is a new series. If I'm watching it, we have to sit there to watch and make adjustments, right? Eric Spoelstra is an amazing coach. He can make adjustments, and he knows LeBron too. He coached LeBron, so it's not like far-fetched that he can stop them. Jimmy Butler is an amazing competitor. He's able to, uplift his team. They have Udonis Haslam on there, a veteran who could calm them down at certain levels, right? So you got to give the Heat credit. You can't just say because the Lakers aren't playing this well. The Heat are playing great. They played better than they did game 1. It's not just that the Lakers aren't playing good too. The Heat just are starting to play better. Because I would argue that, what was it, game 2 or game 3 where the Lakers won, where it was close? They played to the best of their ability, so did the Heat. The Lakers just won, but it was still a close game.
Sure.
Right? So we can't just dismiss the Heat. They're playing a phenomenal basketball. Right?
And all I'm saying is that the Lakers is
like, even if they play to 100%, I still think that he could turn it up and match their level. 100%. They have versatile players.
I do not agree at all.
I'm not saying they could win, but they can match.
Not to say that Duncan Robinson was, just throwing it up, but to be honest, he was getting some looks that was questionable. Like the shot with Kuzma, the 4-point play, yeah, it was a foul because you got the ball and the foul probably helped you make the shot. To be honest,
I don't think so, but you can't fault Duncan Robinson for being smart enough to shoot it to make the contact. That means he's a smart player. He knows what he's doing. He's moving without the ball, getting into his spots, and he's shooting the shots, right? Now, I mean, Kyle Kuzma not doing that.
but Kyle Kuzma is missing those shots. The same shot that Tyler Hero is getting, that Jay Crowder is getting, that what's it called, Duncan Robinson is getting, the nun, the short black dude, point guard, the same looks. We're not hitting. Alex Caruso isn't hitting it. Danny Green isn't hitting it.
Guess what? The Lakers were never a good 3-point shooting team anyway. The whole season. That's not their game anyway.
But that's the problem. All the 3-point shooters we have, we're not a 3-point shooting team. That doesn't make no sense to you.
Danny Green is the only your best 3-point shooter. Who else? Kuzma not really a 3-point shooter.
Caldwell Pope.
Caldwell Pope and JR.
Should be
But you play JR.
What the fuck he is.
Caldwell Pope was playing a great basketball. I don't know what you're talking about. Like in the beginning of the bubble, he wasn't. But overall this year, he's been playing amazing basketball.
Wait, who'd you say?
KCP.
Yeah, no, big fact. He's one of the 4 who's consistent. I'm very happy with how he's playing. I wish LeBron would have swung that to that nigga, to be honest.
But he wasn't open, right? And the problem is,
no, he was open. He was open. It was like
on that play. No, he wasn't.
In the corner.
Bro, I don't know. He wasn't. But the problem isn't Danny Green missing the shot. It's Markieff Morris throwing the shit out of bounds when Danny Green was right behind him and LeBron was in the corner open. Or he could have just took that shit to the rim.
True.
Why he panicked and threw the ball? That's the worst decision, right? Danny Green missed a shot. He missed a shot. That happens, right? They got the rebound. Cool. But you can't just throw the ball away, right? You had more than enough time to think about what you were doing to make a play.
Yeah.
Like people pointing the finger at Danny Green, but it's actually Markieff Morris' fault. And if you don't foul Jimmy Butler, you're not down by 2.
I think about that too. To be honest, that was definitely a bad fucking play on fucking. But
I think it was AD who fouled him.
It shouldn't have been that close, bro. It's what you're not understanding in the overall perspective. It should not be that.
Yeah, I don't think
guess what? The Heat are working hard to make it close, so I can't deny that. I can't dismiss that. Right? If they're playing their best basketball, you can't say it shouldn't be close. They making it close.
So with this going to a game 6, does that end the notion of this being a Cape Cupcake Finals?
What you mean Cupcake Finals?
This is a cupcake path to the finals for the Lakers. I know those notions were adding up after the Nuggets beat the Clippers. Niggas are gonna have an asterisk on this on this championship this year.
You can't see this as a championship this year. But first of all, this ain't the championship that's the same as any other championship, right? So your first problem you're gonna have is basically you had 2 people who are that season, right? Kobe and David Stern. Then they stopped playing the game altogether, right? So they get back in for him, figure out how to play during the global pandemic. So it's not an easy championship at all, no matter who was in it. The focus it takes to go, not be with your family, and do all the stuff in the world, focus and play basketball, I don't think that's easy.
Yeah, of course not.
So to sit there and say, yo, this is an easy finals, like, come on, man. Whoever makes the finals makes the finals. It's not really going to be like easy or not, right? It depends on matchups.
Listen, all I'm saying is the MVP got blitzed in 5 games, and
I don't think it's close. You say it is. I think LeBron is the defending
MVP and Defensive Player of the Year got beat in 5 games.
Yeah, 100%. But what I'm saying is, I don't think the Finals MVP is like what people as close as people think. I think it's definitely LeBron who's winning that Finals MVP.
Oh no! Well, I was just saying those free throw numbers were just eye jarring. That's all I was saying. But yeah, no, I don't get it, bro. Like how do you perform like that? I don't know, man. Like, bro, I don't know what happened to the Clippers, bro. Because this is my problem, bro. All this has to be this has to be on Kawhi's shoulders, bro. Because you can't blame Doc Rivers for players not showing up, and you can't blame Steve Ballmer. Was trusted your word. You said, all right, we're gonna sell everything for Paul George. We're not gonna have any picks until 2027. And what do you get? Pandemic P and a championship of first season. And they both could be gone next year. That's all I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna be gone next year. They're in the back.
Because to be honest, I feel like Doc Rivers got fired prematurely. Even with his track record.
He's been there for a long time. He has won the Western Conference Finals, like I think only one time, right? So it's not premature. Like they kept him, I understand, but I understand why they fired him. He wasn't there. He was there for a minute.
No, but
it's been almost 10 years though.
To take over.
But hold on, it's been almost 10 years, right? Like that last decade, this is like 2010. The middle of that, they were supposed to be one of those teams that made it to the playoffs, like, and advanced to the finals. Like people thought the Clippers were going to make it to the finals, they never did.
Yeah, you're right.
So you can't sit there and say like, "Yo, it's premature."
I feel like they still fired him prematurely. Like, well, who do you think is going to do a better job?
Who's going to do a better job at what?
Who's a better replacement than Doc Rivers? Or good replacement for Doc Rivers?
I don't know. But I'm saying he was there for like 7 years, so it's not premature he got fired. If it was like 2-3 years, then I can agree with you. But like almost 10 years, I can't agree with that.
And I'm just looking at it this way. Like, if there's no better option out there, then you know what I'm saying? Because, bro, I like it with that performance, that last game, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I can't really blame Doc. Like, your two best players don't show up.
Because it's like at this end of the day, you was up 3-1, right? Like, there's no way you could. There's some adjustment I'm sure you could have made to make the team win. Right, and this is the first time he did it. He was up 3-1 and lost.
He's had history.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, listen, man, I don't know, but even with all that, I still feel like it's still premature, especially if there's no better option out there. I mean,
right? You could find a coach who isn't better than Doc Rivers, but is a better fit for the Clippers, right?
That's a fact.
Like, do you think Jeff Van Gundy's a less superior coach than Doc Rivers? They can hire him. You think Mark Jackson's a less superior coach than Doc Rivers? They can hire. There's people out there they can hire on this caliber, right?
But even those people that you mentioned, like, I don't know, people are not hiring them.
No, people check them. They just don't want to be hired. Like, so there's coaches out there. You can't say that, like, Doc Evans, like, he's a great coach, but, like, there's other people out there who could do that job. Right?
Yeah, but I hear you on that one, right? That could be a coach that's a better fit.
Right? Like, if you had 7 years in an organization, you can't say you were fired prematurely. That makes no sense at all. Even if right? Because even if you look at him as his career as a coach, he only won 1 championship with the Celtics, right? He's been in the playoffs most of this time, but like for a lot of it, like there's mistakes he's made that he could have had. Like there was one point in time where he was a coach in Orlando, he could have had Tim Duncan. Like he was ready to sign to the team, and then he didn't sign because he asked Doc if his family could fly with him on away games, and he said no. Imagine having Tim Mack and Doc Rivers on the same. Tim Duncan on the same team.
Would have changed
Right?
history.
Wow. So he did that, and now,
So what I'm saying is like, you know what I'm saying? Even though he's a great coach, whatever, just because you have to give other people, new people, a chance, right? So like Brad Stevens has only been there for like what 3-4 years, but he's a great coach. He's considered one of the best coaches. There's other people out there that we can't just go by experience. Just give new people chances and different things.
That's what Toronto did.
Exactly. Look at their coach, Nick Nurse, a great coach. What you call it? Miami Heat coach. And nigga, he was a video camera guy for most of his career. He was at a Danny moved to different up. He moved up. So they might not be somebody now, but like, trust me, they can find somebody to fit that spot easily.
That's a fact.
But I'm about to be out. I gotta go to work.
So, prediction for Game 6 tonight. Who wins?
no, Lakers are taking this game.
I got Lakers, and I'm watching that shit at work, but I'll see y'all niggas later.
All right, bro.
I got Lakers overtime win. Lakers OT win. LeBron gets his chip.
Yeah, because right now, because if LeBron continues to has another game, listen, man. I just want to see just for one game, just one game. For that, I just want to see the same guy that showed up to Boston in 2012 for Game 6. I just want to see that guy one more time.
Think you'll see it tonight?
Honestly, what it's gonna come down to is who does what in the final couple moments. Because AD and LeBron obviously are both big throughout the whole game. They both have crazy numbers. It's like who's gonna hold it down and close it out, and that's who.
But this one on 2 hours, bro. Pretty good.
Yeah, really good.
Really.
Yeah.
Anybody that's listening at these last moments, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell, all that for more content. Make sure you join Junior Rudy. We're going to have the link down in the description. Also, Carbs Crafted. I'm going to get in the workings of having that link down in the description.
And also, we're available on Spotify,
Yes, Anchor.
Anchor.
A whole bunch of streaming platforms that I've seen.
Man, y'all already know what time it is. Man. Holla at us at Lucrative Vision. Y'all know we talk.
Talk your shit, Josh. Talk your shit.
LVP, we're out.
Alright, guys, take care.
Peace out. Peace.
Yeah, wait, hold up, Rudy, before you leave. So, how do you want to do it tonight?
I don't. Hold on. Let me end the stream or end the thing.